Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's Up, Missoula. With us today is Beth Carell. She is the resident manager of Silvercrest, which is a HUD-subsidized apartment building for seniors. Welcome to the show, Beth.
Thank you, Rikki.
Okay, so Silvercrest is located behind the Good Food Store, and you're the resident manager there.
Yes.
Okay. And so tell us a little bit about the background of what this Silvercrest is.
Silvercrest was begun by Salvation Army, but it is a federally subsidized building. So the government owns it for 40 years, and it is called a PRAC HUD 202, and that stands for a Project Rental Assistance Contract. So basically for 40 years we have to jump through a lot of hoops to make this a good rental for affordable housing for seniors. So the biggest question I get asked when I get calls from interested parties is, tell me about this. And basically it is affordable housing at the 30% level. So at each person's household, their rent ends up being 30%.
And so how much can they make? What is the maximum they can make in order to
There are
qualify?
limits, and these do change. They go up every year. Currently this year, for instance, for one person, the limit is $19,100 annually. So the prerequisites are the individual must be a certain age and cannot earn greater than $19,100. Those figures change every year, and
so what is it for two people? What's the income?
the max is $30,500.
And they have to be married, legally married?
Yeah.
Okay. And now when you say they're retired people and sometimes they're not retired people, there's just an age qualification?
Age and income, and that's it.
And so what age is it?
62 years of age.
Okay.
And then in terms of this word disability, disabilities are no problem whatsoever. We love it. But even in this situation, the individual must be 62. Many senior housings also are equivalent to disabilities, not in this instance. This is a unique HUD property, and there's becoming more and more of them across the United States. So.
Okay, so when you mentioned disabilities, so people can have a disability and come in there, but it's just that having a disability and being under 62 is not going to work. They have to be 62.
Have to be 62.
Okay,
So.
well, you know, I would love to, let's look at the film that we did so people know what we're talking about. And this is the building. How many stories is it?
4 stories.
4 stories, okay, so we can roll on that. So here we are in the parking lot. We're just kind of showing what the view is, the beautiful mountains around Missoula that people get to see. Here's the 4-story building from the side. That's Russell Street. This is from Russell Street. We're looking at it.
Okay.
It's a really nice building. And,
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And then we're just kind of, this is my filming. It's not the steadiest in the world, but I do the best I can. And that's the atrium there, right, that we're looking at?
Correct, right.
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
The residence itself is 4 stories, and then there is a breezeway that connects to the great room and the front office.
That's the Good Food Store, the back of the Good Food Store.
There you go. Yeah.
So I just wanted to show what a beautiful view people have of the mountains. And this is the entryway, which...
This was early. I think this was December.
This was Christmas time.
Yeah.
We're still ahead. It was just right after Christmas, and the Christmas trees were still up, and I thought that would be nice to show. These are their mailboxes?
There you see the breezeway. And the great room, we have a ball there. There are no organized activities. This is simply an apartment building for seniors. However, that doesn't mean we don't have activities, but they are all resident run. And I got to tell you, they are very active. We have Pinnacle, I can't hardly say the word, Pinnacle group, and some folks that like to play bingo.
There's Laugh Day.
Oh, there you go.
What's that?
Every Wednesday, we have
Okay.
a group that gathers.
There's the Christmas tree, or one of the Christmas trees.
Yeah.
And that's your little library room. Right.
It's more like a lending library. It's just full.
And there's a fireplace in there.
Right. A little place to sit,
Yeah.
read.
I love the way there's so
visit.
many little places to sit.
Yep,
And,
nooks and crannies.
yep.
Right now, for one of our activities, we happen to have a resident fiddle player, bluegrass player, and every Monday evening at 7 p.m., he has attracted a whole crowd of bluegrass people, and we have live music every Monday, and it's becoming more and more popular. Yay.
Okay, this is your office, I think, right? Yeah. We're
Yes.
just kind of filming there.
There you go.
And there's all your identifications of what this is. Okay.
Don't look very closely at that.
Okay.
What I love about this building is people are completely independent, and that's the joy of our building. There are, I must say, we have a service coordinator, Captain Trudy Freeman, and she organizes help meets for folks who live in Silvercrest. So she goes and gathers ancillary disciplines where there is a need. One, for instance, would be Meals on Wheels, when we have somebody that really needs it. There's so many great programs here in Missoula. It's a smaller town, but it's wonderful how much they come forward, and great help for seniors. We have a little kitchen in the great room, and certainly you would all know that potlucks are very popular. Every time I turn around, we're having a potluck. So the best cooks in all of Missoula live right here.
Well, I know we had some film, and I told you I taped over it by mistake. I'm so bad. But anyway, and it did show the inside of one of the apartments, and it was really nice.
Yes.
They are nice. They're compact. They're not
Sure.
real huge or anything, but everything's in there, dishwashers, and everything's new.
Oh, no dishwasher.
There's no dishwasher?
No dishwasher.
Oh, okay.
But garbage disposal.
All right.
Right.
All right. It just looked modern new. I assumed it was a dishwasher, but
Yes. Yeah.
okay. And there's a laundry room. I think I filmed that. So there's every convenience for people. And of course, being near the good food store is always that's just great. So, and then people gather in different places. I noticed there, I'm sure we'll get to it, where they can go and do puzzles, and
Yes.
there's several rooms where it seems like they can gather together and do projects.
Yeah, and I routinely find the breezeway has little cubby holes, and there's cribbage boards and little card games, and there's always something going on there, especially while people are waiting for their laundry. That's just a handy gathering spot.
Okay, well, more of the mailboxes. I was fixated on those. Oh, here we go. And these are just events that are coming up to let people know about.
We have a lot of offerings through different agencies, and lectures that come in, health, and so that's good.
And this must be, where is this? Oh, this is the VCR room, the television room.
Yep. A lot of people donate videos once they have seen them. We always welcome more. It's a joy that way.
And it's not that they don't have their own televisions in their own rooms. It's just this way
No.
they can sort of
Especially if there's
share, right?
a great movie they'd like to share. We have Tai Chi classes
this is
that we
outside. This is outside.
Yes,
If people
no.
want to sit outside.
There's a little front. My husband wants to write an essay on front porch people. That a lot of folks like to sit on the front porch, see what's going on, and that's a nice option.
Yeah, and this is the game room,
Right.
sort of where the puzzles. There's lots of puzzles that are finished.
Yes.
Did they glue them together or something? I noticed they were
Well,
up on the wall.
we put them on contact paper on the backs. And
Oh, I see.
So I told residents that, yes, please pin them up on the wall. So at this point in time, we have one wall completely covered with puzzles. We didn't need to paint that one at all. So we have a creative writing class that meets.
That's nice.
And people interested, one teacher, and she kind of is the spark plug for this, but enjoy that sort of thing.
And these are the little tables that are set up individually and
Right.
little cubby holes so that people can have their individual card games or checkers or
Wonderful.
chess. Right. So, and I know you also welcome people that want to come and help entertain them, or
Oh, yes.
anyone that wants to come in to try out their.
There's always something going on. There's a school that's fairly close to Silvercrest, and they did come over for Christmas and sang for us. It was elementary classes. We've had courses come in, and we welcome any activity. We enjoy having that sort of thing. One of our residents did a little painting there, so we had to display
Really?
that.
Oh, someone did that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
neat. Yeah, it feels really safe in there. I noticed
Yeah.
that you can't get in without someone letting you in. You have to.
It is a secure system, door system, and maybe not all of Missoula has this type of thing. Ours is secure, locked 24 hours a day. And all people, of course, have their keys, but there is a code by which they can enter. And then when visitors come, there's ways of contacting their resident or their people that they want to visit. So the Silvercrests all over the nation are secure entry buildings. So
Now, how many Silvercrests are there?
there are 43 of the Western Division of Silvercrests in the nation. As well, Salvation Army has senior housing projects all over the United States. It would be under a different name, but yeah.
And so they sort of plan, like for this building, you were saying something about a 40-year plan. They just figure this
Correct.
building should be able to exist for 40 years.
We actually have to uphold the building to certain standards for 40 years. And we jumped through a lot of hoops to get this done. And then after the 40-year mark, the building does belong to Salvation Army.
Oh, I see. And who owns the property?
Salvation Army put it all together.
Okay.
And it did take them, I believe, about 9 years to get this project up and running. So it was.
Okay. Now, are there any
had
others
challenges.
like this in Missoula?
There's a lot of HUD subsidy. There are all different levels of subsidy. But there is a wonderful offering of senior housing. I am not as familiar with Missoula as I should be, but what I do know is there's a great need. And we have a waiting list as well as many of the other properties. So I recommend anyone who is interested get on the waiting lists as soon as possible, and then you can go ahead and take an opening when you get to that point. You can always say no, but at least get your name on waiting lists. That's what I advise people.
Now, they have to be 62 to get on the waiting list.
That's
so
correct.
They can't go on when they're 59 or something.
I
like
actually have people who come in on their birthdays and get on the waiting list.
that. All right. And so if there were people out there who have parents that live in Missoula
Right,
and they're
right.
thinking, you know, gee, I think this would be a good idea, they can come down and talk to you also.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And we have many people who have come from out of state as well. So it's not just limited to Missoula residents.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter where they're from. They can
No.
still come here. And,
No.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And so, well, the only other thing I was going to ask you about is, so if somebody comes in and they make, you know, let's say $15,000 a year for wherever way they put that money together, and then you take 30% of their income for rent.
Correct.
Okay, and
now
so-
that's speaking roughly. There are different allowances, simply because they are senior, that come into play as well. But at least ballpark, you can figure 30% would be the rent.
Okay.
Usually it's a little under the 30% mark.
And then they pay electricity?
Correct. Included with the rent is water, sewer, garbage, and heat. And the heat is gas hot water. But they are responsible for their own electricity. And that would be their cooking and lights. And if they want to use their air conditioning, that would also be electric. So,
All right.
yeah.
And so then the next year, let's say they get, you know, some book deal or something and they're making $50,000 a year.
Not
So-
a problem.
Okay.
Once a resident qualifies, he's in or she's in. You can win the lottery the next year,
Wow.
but you finally have to qualify initially.
Oh, I see. So
and then
it would just be 30% of the $100,000
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Yeah.
even though
Okay.
you would own you could own the building if you wanted to. If you choose to remain there, yes, your rent always rides 30% of however your income gross is for that year. I have to
Okay.
recertify every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you recertify their income, but they're
Right.
in once they're in. So.
Right.
So the other thing, we talked about it briefly, and we don't need to go into details about it, but basically you were explaining to me that if somebody, you know, decides to make this like their winter or their summer residence and they have another residence somewhere else, that's just not going to work. You
No.
have lots of safeguards
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it sounded very clever because basically you figured out what's
Yeah.
fair because the people of
This is the taxpayers
Right.
want these buildings to go to people who fall through the cracks, if you will. The taxpayer has allowed these buildings, and I think it's a wonderful option. So, yeah, we have a lot of safeguards and rules and regs, if you will, but that's all been established down through the years, and it ends up being a building for the people who really need it, and I like that. So,
All right.
Yeah.
So they can't go away for like a 6-month extended vacation to Europe and
No.
expect to be able
part
to.
of the lease rights, and there are a lot of things, but part of the lease speaks to the fact that they cannot be, this has to be their only residence, and they cannot be away from this residence more than 2 months, more than 60 days. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, it's very interesting. I'm so glad that you're there, and people should come and check you out. Just give you a call. They can do that.
Thank you,
and
yes. I
set up an appointment. if
set
you
up an
wanna.
appointment, then I know you're coming. Love to have you meet us and see the building and pick up an application and encourage that.
Okay.
It's a great building. The best neighbors in all of Missoula live in my building. So.
Now, and you did this before, didn't you? You and your husband kind of did the same thing.
Yes.
Resident managers in Seattle. Is
We
that what you said?
began with Salvation Army Silvercrest in Seattle, and I thought, well, 1 year, maybe 2. This is an interesting type of work, and we love it. We just love it, and here we are. So,
And you said that you used to live in Missoula, and that's what kind of drew you back here.
yes,
So.
yes. Grandbabies here in Missoula. That was another magnet. But,
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Beth.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
And so anyone interested, please give Beth a call.